Hi crochet peeps. So people have been asking me how I embroider my eyes onto my Cuddle Buddies. This here is my most recent billy goat that I finished, and both eyes, as you can see, are embroidered on there. I am going to work on embroidering on my half-done head for a kangaroo I'm making. So the kangaroo head is going to be pretty similar to my goat head. So I'm going to follow the same format for how I spaced everything. And to start with, I need to figure out where I'm going to put my eyes. To do that, I'm going to come to the back of my billy goat and I'm going to find my magic circle and I'm going to count how many rows to where I want to start my eyes. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows until you get to my eyes. In between the eyes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. So let's take our kangaroo head and look at the back of it. Here's my magic circle. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's row 8. I need to kind of eyeball to get to the center because obviously I don't have any of the body made yet. And this is pretty much the center. It looks like I had an increased stitch right there. But I'm going to count 3. 1, 2, 3. So this right here is where I want to go in and start my very first stitch for my eye. I'm going to do it from the inside so that I don't have an end that I have to worry about weaving in. I'm going to leave enough hanging out so that I can tie a nice secure knot. With this, I'm going to just loop around this stitch right here to start creating the illusion of an eye. And I'm just going to go around, keeping in mind this is the Bernat chunky yarn, so it's a little bit easier than it would be with the finer yarn. The finer yarns take a little bit more embroidery work. With these, I really only need 4, maybe 5 total loops. So that was number 2. Here's number 3. And with number 4, I'm going to go into this side and I'm going to count those 4 stitches again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to go in behind this stitch, but again, I want to go in at the bottom of the stitch. You need to use your finger a little bit on the inside to tug it down to make sure you get a nice smooth stitch on the other side. Don't worry if it's a little bit off because you're going to go back over to that one to correct that. I'm going to do the same thing over here with, I'm going to do between 4 and 5 loops through. So that's 1, 2. You don't want to pull too terribly tight because if you do, it's going to stitch it a little bit too tight and you're going to wind up with a hole in the head where the stuffing will start to come out. So that was 3, 4. I'll kind of guide it sometimes with my finger to try and loop either the bottom or the top. Now this eye is a little, to me it's lacking a little bit. I want it to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to kind of tug towards the top so that the actual loop that I'm pulling through is going to come around more towards the top, just to fill out that eye a little bit more and make it a little bit more round. And now I'm going to need to do one more loop around and drag it back over to this eye to finish this eye. So I'm going to come around. I guess that was closer to 6 stitches. It really depends on the head that I'm doing and how pronounced I want the eyes. Now on this side, you could pop right up through here, but the problem is then you're ending on the same side that you pulled your initial thread through. So what I do is I try and come all the way to the outside of the eye and I pull it through, trying not to pull too tight. Let me show you what's going to happen if you pull too tight. You're going to wind up pulling your head together. and I don't want that look. So I'm going to straighten it out again, making sure that my threads on the inside, my yarn on the inside, is staying somewhat loose yet taut, just taut enough to keep the eyes from coming apart later. Now I'm going to take, and you can see that this eye tends to be is a little bit rounder. I'm going to try and form the same thing over on this side. And I'll be real honest with you, there are many times that I wind up pulling it all apart and starting over again. But once you start doing them regularly, it tends to get easier. Sometimes it's a matter of pulling that first stitch back out again and just repositioning it. I'm going to do the same thing over here that I did on the other side, and I'm just going to round off my top a little bit. I'm going to pull through, and this time I'm going to pull all the way through. But I want to guide that yarn to go over the top just a little bit. And there you see, I've got two eyes. You can shape it a little bit more when you're tying it off. So I'm going to come to the bottom. And I'm going to have my two ends, and I'm just going to tie them together. Again, don't go too terribly tight with that, because you will change the appearance of the eye on the outside. Now the beauty part of this is I don't have anything that I need to weave into the head or anything else. If I want, I can cut this length off to use for another set of eyes, or I can just simply tuck it inside and continue on with my head and then stuff. And that is how I embroider my eyes. Hope that helps some of you.